Alright everybody, it's 10 a.m. and time to make some trolls and their friends. Just one troll, and so far he doesn't have too many friends in the strip. But you know, we're gonna switch that eventually. Anyway, thanks for joining me. My patrons are getting a live preview here. I mean, we're doing it first. It's exclusive, and then once we're done with the strip, I'm going to just pretty it up and post it to the Patreon board so that you guys get a early sneak peek, the people that can't join us right now. And then in 24 hours, the strip will post to Webtoons and to the website trollandfriends.com. I also post it on Twitter. You'll see it all over the place. But for now, this is just you and me, patrons. Isn't this cool? Alright, and I'll also be doing a Twitch live stream at 1 p.m. today, which won't be Troll and Friends. It'll just be some interior art for a gaming book that I have to do. Might as well do it online. Alright, so right now we are opening up Illustrator, and you'll notice we have a 2-panel strip today instead of the usual 3 panels. I think the story I have to tell can be summed up in 2 panels, so why overcomplicate things? But one thing I do need to do is to expand the artboard, which is something we haven't had to do yet. I want to put a title above both panels. So I clicked on the artboard tool, and it gives me this little grabby handle, and I'm just going to pull that up. Alright, and then that gives us plenty of room to drop in some copy. And I'm going to do that on the frames layer. You unlock that real quick so that it's above everything else. So we switch over to the type tool, pull out our box, and just say, yeah, it gives us all that Greek in there. Caps locks, technical difficulties during live streaming. If any of you guys watched my last video, it was full. Rife is the word, rife with technical difficulties, both of my own creation and just Windows fucking with me. So it was the inspiration for today's strip, which is the internal and external dialogue that happens when the troll has technical difficulties during live streaming. A lot of you are my friends, but you may not know this. One of the things that frustrates me the most of anything at all are technical difficulties. When something should be working and it's not, and especially like trying to help someone troubleshoot that over the phone. I can't do it. I can never be an IT guy. You guys are amazing. So for me to keep my composure when everything was flying off a handle last time was pretty incredible. I didn't hardly even swear. I just dropped an F-bomb now. I didn't drop it last time. So we've got technical difficulties during live streaming. I want to change that font. We'll see how the Cabalar, which is my normal font, that looks okay. I can pull this box out here so that we can just line that up. I want it all to be on one line, so I'm just going to reduce the font size quickly. That's Shift Control and then a little bracket. But I do want it to be a little bit bigger than that. So there you go. That is absolutely perfect, Jay. So we double click on that guy and bring this down. Technical difficulties during live streaming. Alright, and then I want to jump down to the balloon layer. I'm going to lock the frames layer. And on the balloon layer, I want the left panel, the first panel, to be labeled external. External. See, I need to hire a proofreader. All right, let's try that again. We reduce the size of this type. External dialogue. And we'll lower that down to the bottom of the page. And then I'm just going to copy and paste that. And dump it over here. And one little trick I can do is to pull the text box all the way to those black lines, and that way I know that the copy is centered within the panel. Little cheater trick. And I'm going to make sure both of these guys are aligned with the tops of each other. And then that way, it's uniform between the two. Obviously, on the right panel, the second panel, we have to change that to internal. Right. And I want to reduce that type box. So that's just good housekeeping. You know, I hate to have boxes that hang out way longer than they should be. Okay, and let's put a little box on those guys too. So we get a little white box. Do that in there. Change it to that. Change the stroke to 2. I like to have the stroke nice and uniform. I'm gonna. Dang it! I keep pushing the wrong button because of the Mac PC thing. My muscle memory still is doing Mac commands. All right. We got this guy over here. I'm just eyeballing to make that centered, I guess. And then we can do object arrange, send backward, which is command left bracket. And this guy needs it too, command left bracket. He had to go back a couple times. Alright, so that just ties them all there. And what we're going to do is we're going to save, because we love to save. Oh, it occurred to me that I don't have a glass of water today, so we're just going to have to muscle through this. We can overcome this together. I want the title, I think, to be a little bit closer to the panels, so I went back up there onto the frames layer, unlock that and move that down, but I'm going to lock it again. The balloons are good for right now, so I'm going to lock them. One thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go over to the artboard tool and just pull this artboard down a little bit. Now what the artboard is it's your background for the art that you're creating. You can have several artboards, like if I wanted to do a bunch of versions of a logo, I could have 10 different artboards set up, and each one would have a separate version of a logo, and then I can export that as a PDF, and each artboard would be its own page. That's pretty cool. So what I do with Troll and Friends is the artboard itself exports as a PNG file, and then that way, if anything goes off the artboard, it's not included. It just knows to include everything that's within this little blue line that hopefully you guys can see. So that's what we're doing. And then when I export it for Webtoons, their format is different. It's instead of the horizontal setup that you get for a regular comic strip, they have a vertical setup, so you have to have each panel as a separate image, and then it puts them like the first panel top, and then middle, bottom, down, as you go, because it's more geared towards mobile apps and people surfing on their phones. And so it just shows one panel at a time instead of making somebody zoom in because the type is microscopic. So when that happens, I take the PNG that I export for the from the Illustrator document for posting to trollandfriends.com. I have to actually take that and use in Photoshop what is called the slice tool, and it's just a little marquee, and you tell it where to go, like you outline what areas you want to be certain slices, and then when you export that for web, it exports just the chunks that you cut out into their individual JPEGs, and then those are what I upload to webtoons.com. So it takes a little bit of extra time to do that, but not too much, and it could be a whole new audience. I have one subscriber, not including myself, so there's not a huge audience there yet, but it'll grow. So anyway, back to the strip here. We're going back to our old friend, the blob brush. See, I almost did it again. I almost did the shaper tool, the blob brush. We're going to make him light blue, and of course we'll be drawing then on the blue line layer. I'm going to lock everybody else. Pardon me while I pick my nose on camera. All right, blue line, and all right, so this is pretty straightforward what we're gonna be doing here. I hopefully have the pen all set up. I went through my windows and turned off everything that the ink app. I think that's what was messing with me last time. It was trying to help me, and it didn't know that I was fine by myself. So I think I went through and turned all that off. I adjusted the Wacom driver to my likings. Fingers crossed, everybody, that we're gonna have just a stellar show today. Okay, so technical difficulties while live streaming. So what we're going to have is just Troll here. Start with his ear. I was going to put headphones on him, but, you know, as you can see, I don't wear headphones when I'm streaming. So I don't really need that. That is one giant head and some tiny, tiny ears. All right. Probably fetal alcohol syndrome. So we've got his beard coming in. And then he's going to be having like this quirky smile like he does. But then also still with his bottom lip and those, oops, 3 little lines coming off of it. I like to do that. And here's his nose. And I think his eyes should be kind of cattywampus. Because he's slightly unhinged. His little hat. And I think I want to grab all that because I'm going to have dialogue at the top of the screen. So I'm just going to grab all that, and it's awesome because that is the only stuff I have on this layer, so it didn't try to grab the frames or the type or anything like that, just the blue lines. I'm going to drag him down. And then go back to the blob brush and draw in the rest of them. Okay. We're going to have to... for some reason, it's showing blue lines outside of the frame. And I think maybe it's because I I don't use this template, this 2-panel template, very often, and so maybe I didn't have it quite set up as well as the 3-panel one. When I opened it up, it only had one layer. It didn't have all the different frames, balloon, ink, shading, or blue line layers. And it only had the frames layer. So I think maybe I just didn't do my homework earlier. So with that having been said, I'll fix that later. You guys can share with me while I fix that. So his external dialogue, and then his internal dialogue is just him using a chainsaw on the computer. And his little hat. His eyebrows will be wonky in this one too. This one he's pissed. He's serious. You've never seen him so angry. This troll. He's usually just grin and bear it kind of guy, but he has had enough. That's a terrible line there. We got to figure out how to, which is the beauty of this blue line, how to get his body and his limbs and everything to play nice. All right, so what I'm going to do is not make that beard so wild and woolly, since this is a side view anyway. Get rid of that guy. Maybe I want to move that whole thing over more to the center. All right, and then erase a bunch of it. And hopefully this is streamed. This is my first time using YouTube live stream. The Twitch worked out excellently, but like I said, there was no way for me to restrict it for my patrons only. So this right now is recording, and when I'm done with it, I will upload it to Twitch tomorrow after this trip posts. And this is also available on YouTube for posterity to the channel. But right now, this is just a private link for the private stream for you Patreons. I don't know where I was going with that. So I think it's funnier if his hands are up over his head. Maybe not like that. Let's see here. Come on. Deselect that guy so I can see. Alright, so I think he's just pissed. He's had it. And you get to see now how I battle through this. All right, there's his there's his beard. And I'm just trying to decide what I want to have in his hands. Give him a little tummy tuck there. I wanted like a chainsaw, maybe. I don't like that pose for his hands. I was thinking like a morning star or a mace would be funny, and just his poor hapless little PC monitor taking the brunt of it. Maybe it already has a mace sticking out of it or something. All right, I think maybe we just have to cover up his little hat. I could have his hat flying off for effect. And we'll take care of that in the ink layer. And then his other hand up, or his other arm up. And this one's gripping the chainsaw, and this one's got the handle. His little action legs. And then his little computer here. One thing also about this two-panel template I noticed is that I don't have any convenient halftone patterns built into this one. So if we do a background color, I think I might just make it a shade of gray or something. Or we'll see if we can skip it entirely. I want to make this smashed up. See, none of this doesn't look like it's being pressure sensitive again. I guess I hadn't even really noticed, but it's one thing we'll make sure to fix before we get to the ink layer. So maybe, come on now. Alright, so let's go. The eraser's not working for some reason, so I had to go over and choose the eraser tool. Alright, and then go pick the blob tool again, and like have the mace sticking out of it. Some stars. Little frowny face, poor little guy. He's just the messenger. Alright, I think I want to change, there you go, the eraser's working now. Change one of his eyeballs to like a spiral. He's completely losing it. But keeping it in. Keeping it in, kids. That's the important thing. Alright, let me erase this hat so I don't confuse future Jaybird. Okay, I think that's alright. Now let's check our brushes. Or first, let's save. This machine does save nice and quickly, way more quickly than the Mac does. Go to my brush options. Alright, everybody looks happy there. Change this guy to that. And we need to get off the blue line and onto the ink and change our color to black. Now what that should do is give us a pressure sensitive line. Alright, let's hope it stays like that. Alright, so I want to zoom in here a little bit. Hey, great. It's a telemarketer in the middle of the stream. I get probably 8 calls a day, and they all pretend to be local, you know, and He just opened it up. He's like, "Hi, I'm Susan. I'm your Google rep. Did you know that you could do?" I never let him get that far before I yell obscenities at the recording. So really now I just don't even answer him. That one said the call was coming from the United States. That was the caller ID on that one. Now it feels like I lost my pressure sensitivity. Yeah, look at that. I might just go back to using the Mac. I don't know why this thing does this. Everything is still set up. And now that I looked at the panel, it works. But it somehow just wasn't for a second there. The only real upside to not using the Mac is that I can keep an eye on the chat over. I have my Mac set up over to my left, so I can look over there and see, if I have any viewers at all, and if so, if anything's happening in the chat, which there isn't. But that might not be worth it if I got to keep fighting the system here. Those of you that saw the last video saw how just completely frazzled I was by the end of it. Like I couldn't even form a sentence, basically. And it's not like me to be tongue-tied. All right, let's do this funny little mouth here. He's talking, so we'll leave this open. His awen, which is a symbol of creativity and inspiration, a bardic symbol. So I like to include it when we're being creative. Just a little Easter egg there, I guess, for some folks. All right, here's his collar. Okay, and I'm just gonna do the plaid in his shirt. Oops. This kind of looks like a mugshot. I can see now that I want to make his collar darker, just to stand out, because I'm going to put lines on it too. So we'll just, there you go. So these ones, I guess I didn't have to be careful about running over that box, because the box behind external dialogue there is on a separate layer. So it blocks out anything I'm doing on this layer. It's a terrible line. Alright, this internal dialogue is going alright. And then this guy, I think we want to make the brush a little bit smaller. I have it set at 3 points, but I'm going to take it down to 2 just because there's a little bit more detail in this guy, and hopefully the computer guards will bear with us. So here's his hat. Why? It's the same thing that was happening with that old lady's hair yesterday, or last time in this trip. Okay, now his thumb would be up here, and his little fingers there. We got the handle coming through. I don't like how that's it's really just trying to fill in, but I have the accuracy set all the way up. It's how a layperson draws a chainsaw. I mean, I've seen plenty in my life. My dad is a crazy man who chops down everything. Every tree that looks like it's halfway dead, he's on it. So I'm no stranger to them, but I didn't really memorize what they look like either. But I think this will read fine enough. All right, we got that guy. Okay, it's occurring to me right now to save, so we're going to do that. Always listen to your gut. Hopefully the points of this chainsaw won't fill in. Well, they kind of did, but it's not the end of the world. I don't know why it does that. You would think that it would be like a smoothing thing, but I have the smoothing turned off. So I guess it's not too bad. Let's see, the back of this is actually the back of this troll's. No, it's okay. Go over to the eraser's not working again on us. This is actually the back of the troll's hand, so I'm going to erase that finger action. All right, cool. Put his cuff in there. He's got. Is that right? Yeah, that would be the back. Sometimes you got to pose, try to figure it out. Like, okay, the thumb is, above the head, and you can see the back of the hand from this angle, and you got to be your own model sometimes. An art model. How about that? All right. So his thumb will be showing there, and then I always only give him 3 fingers, which is the perfect amount of whiskey. And over here. Alright, and then we got his big old chrome dome, his ear. Accentuate this angriness. Alright. And then we'll, his beard doesn't want to miss out on the action. Hopefully it won't try to fill in those tops. It does. Why does it do that? I'm going to try to choose a different brush and then back to it. Let's save real quick. And we'll give this another shot. It has also stopped being pressure sensitive for no reason. Let's look at the brush options. So right now, what you're seeing is me in the first panel, when inside my brain currently, we're dealing with the second panel. I don't have a chainsaw, but I've got a shotgun. Alright, whatever, that works. Do those 3 little lines for good luck. Maybe it'll help us get his little armpit hair there, or his little armpit line. I like him a little bit fatter. Buttons. I like the shape of those pants. The pockets. I always give him the fly, because he's pretty fly for a white guy. Alright, and his little boots. Let's save it. I need to go in and do the lines on his shirt, but I'll do that after after I do the computer. Since we got kind of a roll going here. But it has lost its... No, it didn't. I was going to say it lost its pressure sensitivity again, but it made a liar out of me. one way to, did you see I started that line over by his belly and then completed it on the corner and actually hit. That wasn't a bad trick. A, a good way to do that is you start your line, and then instead of watching like where your pencil is, you put your eyes to where you want it to go. Like, so I'm going to be looking over here, even though I start drawing over here. And hopefully that now that I've pointed it out, it'll still hold true that that I do a pretty good connecting line there. I guess it's kind of like golf. You want to swing through, right? So yeah, we got there not too bad. And I want this leg to be bent. We've got a tangent there though, so we can't do that. So this leg to be bent. There you go. That doesn't have to go all the way to his belly there, and then we'll have the one in back that'll just be filled in gray later. All right, that one's not brutalized. Terrible line. It's the beauty of Control Z. I think maybe if I do X's for eyes, and then a frowny face with a tongue. Poor guy. And here we'll get the bottom under that monitor. Alright, and then this mace is jutting out of the monitor there. Alright, so I think what I'm going to do is save it again, and then I'll hide that blue line layer, and then just fill in some cross hatching, or some hatching. Take the brush down to 1 point, and I just want to do some hatching over here on the handle and on the monitor. Okay, and then since we have this small brush, we can do the ubiquitous stripes, or the plaid. Oops. So it was good to wear a grid, accentuate your womanly curves. All right, and oh, his shoes are always black, so I'm gonna make the brush a little bit bigger so I can do that. We'll do a 3-point brush on that. And then I'll zoom out and we'll kind of see how the whole thing's going. Alright. Push the wrong button again. That was Mac guy. All right, I want to put okay. All right, so we're gonna just do the shading layer now. I think I changed it from color to shading layer since I don't actually ever have color in it yet. So we'll do a nice medium gray. We've got this 3-point brush rocking. Ink layer is locked, shading layer is unlocked. So we just zoom in and do our thing. So we're painting. We are painting on the layer underneath. Let me make sure that's, yeah, it's still pressure sensitive. Underneath the ink layer. So we can just be ugly about it here, and that black line will stay above us. Boom. All right. A little ear bone. Hey, did you hear Winston? Came to make a guest appearance. Here. Look, here's Winston. He's trying to help us draw today. Say hi to everybody, Winston. Now they call me. Oh God. Oh God. I regret that immediately. Okay, that was Winston. He's very handsome. He hears me talking and thinks that there's somebody in here because there's never anybody here. So I must be talking to him. J-Puff works all day. So she's never around when I'm streaming this stuff. Yeah, he agrees. Alright, just fill in his beard. Yeah, they get it, buddy. You're the star of the show. So not too much commentary needs to happen, I guess, while I scribble in this beard. I think if this time works for everybody, I sent out a Patreon email, I guess, or I made a post and it automatically gets emailed to you guys. If 10 a.m. is a good time, Mondays and Wednesdays, for you guys to tune in, or if you'd prefer me to do it in the evenings. So the one catch is that, you know, obviously the strip wouldn't be made until the evening then, so your preview would only be like 12 or 18 hours early instead of 24 hours early. But if you guys don't care, if it's more convenient for some of you to tune in the evening because, you know, of work or whatever, I can definitely make that happen for the time being. Until then, we'll just stick with this 10 o'clock thing, and then I'll be over on Twitch doing my other stream at 1 p.m. I see a little message from my good buddy Rom, #SexyTroll. Thanks, Rom. I'm glad you enjoyed the portrait that I made of you for your backer reward. I'll have to get with you and see what you want for this month. You know, I can do horror if you want a Troll and Friends one, or fantasy, whatever you want there, buddy. We'll talk about it. Every month I send original art to Rom because of his backer level. All right. So I think that's good enough there. Maybe I'm gonna come back later on the ink layer and have some sweat coming off of his brow. So let's save it before we start a new paddle. All right, and then his hat is getting filled in. As always, just a little shading on his hand, his shirt. Under his beard. Under his belly. And then his pants are always filled in, except for the cuffs. So I missed the spot there on his heel. You know, for all the technical difficulties I had last time, writing that strip about the polling place, I really enjoyed that strip. When I read it afterwards, I was like, okay, you know, this is fun. So hopefully you guys did too. All right, Winston's howling from the other room now. It's not close to his dinner time though, so I don't know what he's crying about. I think he just wants cuddles. Why aren't we on the couch, Jay? Breaking Bad isn't going to watch itself. And the troll's beard is the most fun thing for me to draw. Just because it's so wild. When I was originally thinking about this strip, there were a couple different ways I could go with it. I was actually thinking about a strip about how long it takes to log into stuff. Like yesterday during the technical difficulties, half of it was just that when I had to reboot, it took forever for the stupid thing to come back online. And I thought maybe I would show Troll then, you know, covered with cobwebs. Maybe even a skeletal troll like the dwarves in Moria, you know, in Lord of the Rings. They're all just covered with cobwebs. But then I thought I don't want to make Spider Mayor mad. You know, he's got a thing against that. All right, let's get some more. I noticed I never made any cross lines on that far arm, so we're gonna have to take care of that. I think I'm gonna shade that whole arm in to show that it's farther away. All right. So that reads as a chainsaw well enough. We get some shading over here. Just make that whole one gray. All right. I think, damn, I hit the wrong button again. That's working out okay. I wish that I had a halftone pattern I could put underneath them, but I think maybe I'll just do an oval. Under him and fill it with that gray. And then we just zoom in and we got to paint his cuff back in white. So do that, pick up some white. Yeah, I think that's okay. And then I want to save this. We close the shading layer, lock it up, and go back to the ink layer. Unlock that. We need to change our ink to black ink. See how that's going to work. Excellent. All right, so then I want to make that a small brush size. And there are ways to, you know, with the Wacom stylus, there are ways to set it up where I can just like push. There's a couple little buttons here, or there's buttons on the tablet itself, so I could up the brush size, down the brush size. I'm not nearly that fancy. I'll take the extra 3 seconds and just change it. More often than not, my big stupid meat hooks would push the button, you know, at the wrong time, and it'd be more of a mess than it would be a tool. So the only tool would be me. So I just do it the old-fashioned way. I ain't fancy. All right, and I want to do some beads of sweat coming off of them. All right, save that real quick, and then we throw in some dialogue. So we lock the ink layer, go back up to the balloon layer, unlock that, drag in our paragraph box, and say, oops, forgot that I had the caps locks on. Golly gee, the OS and or program, can I spell? Golly gee, see, I'm thinking this out while I'm composing it right here. The magic is happening. Golly gee, the OS and or program keeps changing things arbitrarily. Keeps changing settings arbitrarily. Let's select all that, and we'll make the type smaller. I like to keep it around 18. I think it was bigger than that. You know, I hate that automatic hyphenation, so we turn that off in the paragraphs palette. Keeps changing settings. Settings. And I want to take this arbitrarily. It keeps arbitrarily changing. I hate to end a sentence with an adverb. Shucks. Alright, so we got this paragraph thing all set up, so we can look at it. Shucks is on the bottom alone, so I'm going to say shucky dang darn. Come on. Shucky dang darns, everybody. That's how I talk. Alright, and then we draw in using das Blob brush. We can draw in the balloon. That line, she was too small. We need to make it fatter. But Troll, if only you had some kind of control on your brush, you wouldn't even have to go to it. Quiet, you. Shuck dang darns, you. Alright, there we go. And then, save that. I want to put the pen away. We'll draw out another paragraph box. You no good farging bastage son of the motherless. Alright. And that's, of course, the farging bastage ice hole is all from Johnny Dangerously, which is an excellent movie. Alright. You no good farging bastage son of the motherless. And then we will, I'm getting a little, there you go. I had a little pinwheel happening. I was worried that something was breaking, but I think we're okay. What's happening? See, I did it only the first time I did it. This time I chose the wrong tool. Do not like that, Sam. I am. Okay. So I think that is kind of what I was trying to convey. Let's save that real quick. And then I'm going to go in and fix the frame layer so that we don't have we don't have the lines running over the edges of the frames. So I'm going to lock everything else, go to the frame layer, and I will take the rectangle tool, and for the entire frame, draw out a big old rectangle, and I'm going to fill that with white. And then set it to the back. And then here's a kind of a little illustrator trick. We take these two, actually I'm just going to draw in two more rectangles. So drawing a rectangle here, and a rectangle here. Group these guys, Control G. And then we choose the big rectangle that we just did, and with the Pathfinder tool, which is down here, we can chop those right out. And now we got that. That should be white. It doesn't look like it's white. It looks kind of grayish. Okay, and then we see what it did. We send this to back, get it back behind all the watermarking and our title. And cool. And I'll save that. And I think we're done. Golly gee, the OS and our program keeps arbitrarily changing brush settings. Shucky dang darns. And while I'm just trying to keep it together for my 3 viewers, you no good farging bastard, son of a motherless. Excellent. Alright, well I think that is a successful strip. So thanks for joining me, Patreon backers, and thanks for backing me, of course, and everybody else seeing this tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. You guys are no less important. You're awesome too. I just need to flatten this, export it, and it will. It's going on Patreon right now, and it's going to go on webtoons.com and trollandfriends.com tomorrow. And I will see you all 10 a.m. on Wednesday, unless I hear otherwise. All right, everybody have a great day. Adios.